Good evening, Rolling Meadows. This is the January 22nd, 2019 City Council meeting convening at 7:30 in the evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Judy sick?
It's better.
Oh, are you being serious?
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Cannon.
Here.
Budmats.
Present.
Majikis.
Here.
Gallo.
Here.
Banger.
Here.
Diastis.
Present.
Williams.
Here.
With 7 present and none absent, there is a quorum. The first order of business is to approve the minutes of the December 11th, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting and the January 8th, 2019 City Council meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Mr. Budmats has made that. I have a second from Mr. Williams. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes have been approved. This brings us to the mayor's report. It has been a busy couple of weeks. First off, I do want to thank all the members of the Community Events Foundation and all the volunteers. I did have the opportunity to have dinner with you the other night. And for those of you that are out there and you want a fun group of people to work with and help plan events, they are the guys. And so every time you see a wind down by the creek or a hoedown or a block party, it's these folks that make it happen. So we really need to thank them for their efforts. We did have a meeting this week concerning the post office. I do wish to give you a background, I want to thank Dave Whitney, who said he would be the liaison from the city, from the citizens of Rolling Meadows, and Mr. Budmats, who is the liaison from the City Council. And just to give you a recap, we started that process a year ago. Through the joint effort, the City Council signed a letter that went forward. I was able to coordinate with our congressman to get a letter coordinated from both our congressmen, all 3 of our congressmen, and both of our senators. We did have a meeting, and Washington came to Rolling Meadows, which is the first thing that we've had happen in a long time. It was not the answer that we wanted, but they're back there. But after that meeting, we met with representatives of Congressman Krishnamurthy's office, and he has some new positions. And we're looking to see if there's some type of funding. We'll never get back the post office we had, but we put the idea of maybe a substation or a downtown area. So even though it wasn't the answer we wanted, we haven't quit. And the fact that it took us almost a year and a lot of phone calls and emails, and they came to us, was at least some progress. So again, thank you all that volunteered for that. So I also had some meetings this week concerning restaurants and video gaming. I usually have 2 to 3 of those a week sometimes, and staff was involved with it. On tonight's agenda, you'll see there's a new liquor license and 2 video gaming licenses that will be going forward. There are more coming down the pipeline, but I just want to take staff. Right now, the holdup that we've had is down in Springfield in the state of Illinois, because we could have even had more restaurants, video gaming open in the city, but we've been waiting for Springfield to speak. So, are there any ward reports? Seeing none, the meeting is now open to the public for 20 minutes. The council meeting, when it is open for 20 minutes, to address the City Council on matters that are on the agenda or regarding other issues. We ask that persons wishing to address the City Council keep their comments to 5 minutes in length. Comments must be addressed to the council as a whole through the mayor, and profanity may not be used in any form. Our first signatory is Lynn Vicker, Pheasant Drive. I want to thank you for coming forward.
Thank you. First of all, I do hope the council pays very close attention to what is expressed to you by the residents tonight. Their ideas, opinions, and suggestions are valid, important, and worthy of your attention and consideration. My words are few, since there are other residents who also plan to speak tonight. But I'm speaking on behalf of many residents and taxpayers of Rolling Meadows. The City Council should at this time tonight postpone the approval to issue bonds to pay for the second fire station and other infrastructure projects. Also, awarding a contract for the second fire station should be postponed as well. Because of the importance of these resolutions to all taxpayers of Rolling Meadows, both should be postponed until after the April 2nd election. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward. Patricia Callahan.
Good evening,
Thank you for
Mayor.
coming forward tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Do you ask a contractor to build a home for you? Seek bonds for the second home, some which may be lower, accept a higher bid from the contractor for the first home, and that you even haven't seen completed yet. And there already is a delay for that first home. Would you do this with your own personal money? Why are you doing this with the City of Rolling Meadows money? What is the hurry to get this bid process done and spend money on the first fire station with the bonds? Could it be the upcoming election? Has Wegman been promised the second firehouse project? With 3 aldermanic seats up for possible change in Wards 3, 5, and 7, and the mayoral seat up as well, I do think it would be fair for the residents to have, I do think it would be fair to the residents that the expenditures that affect for years to come, we should have a fresh council look at these new firehouses. Too much is riding on the backs of the taxpayers of this city. Enough is enough when budget balances are being made up with taxpayer dollars. You're hurting the people that are on fixed incomes, seniors, and everyday people who go to work and are trying to make ends meet. I'm asking this council to table the votes on the bonds and the bids on the second firehouse until after the election and the installation of a new council and possible mayor. Would you please consider your choices wisely? Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward tonight. The next signatory is to Dave Whitney.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm going to take a little different approach here. I'm going to state some facts here that I think warrant this project moving forward. First, the City Council has approved moving the 2 fire stations. At this point, it was done because of poor response times on the south end of the city. If the City Council and 2 fire chiefs supported that, I think it's been approved by the City Council, it's worth moving forward. Even though I opposed that to begin with, at this point it's almost too late to stop. If, for example, you move the 1 station and stop the second one, all you've done is move the problem from the south to the north. You won't have the coverage needed in the north. Been complaints about Wegman. Wegman was awarded the contract by the City Council to manage the project for both stations, not just one. It was already decided that they would get both stations. They are the project manager. The fire chief is not the project manager, which a lot of people have said that it was. The original $9 million expense that was budgeted was just based on an estimate. The cost obviously went up. If anybody thought that the $9 million would stick, then that was probably naive. Some people are trying to compare it to the stations in South Elgin. South Elgin had one station estimated at $6 million and another one at $3.5 million. The $3.5 million one is a substation. The $6 million one has not been quoted yet. There's no price on it at all that's real. The size of the stations that we put in for the $9 million was increased. The main reason they were increased was to allow for 80-foot length in the bays, which is what we currently have. That did increase the size, increase the cost. Each price for each one of the stations is a not to exceed. There's a contingency built in for each station, which is why the price should come out less than what it is. With that also in mind, Wegman is doing an engineering on these stations. The engineering has uncovered some cost savings already. Those cost savings will be continued to add to that contingency and reduce the cost of the project. The reason there's little work going on in the stations right now is because the city council stopped work on it, delayed it mostly because of the weather, and so it was a result of that vote at the city council meeting that that project was put on hold. So to summarize things, how I think it should move forward, if you do not move the second station forward, you're just creating the same problem at the north end, and you're not solving anything. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward, Mr. Whitney. Our next speaker is Mrs. Safran.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor Prina and council members. And one day you'll get my name correctly.
I kept trying with all the years we worked together. Could I just ask one favor? Could you just pull the mic down a little bit? Thank you. I'm sure that you'll keep working on it till I get it absolutely correct. So thank you.
The issuance of building the second fire station is extremely controversial, and most residents have been against this from the get-go. While it's true the city has committed to building 2 fire stations, what is the reasoning for rushing this project right now? Therefore, since Station 15 is not yet even begun, and since the city seems to be in such a rush to obtain bond funding, and since residents are disappointed with the current representation of certain council members on this issue, and since the current council has failed listening to residents regarding this matter, and since an election is right around the corner, and since residents feel a lack of trust of certain current sitting aldermen, and since residents do not understand the need to rush into this project, and since residents would prefer to see the completion of Station 15 before going any further, and since residents feel the city is taking on too much of a financial burden with building 2 stations at one time, and since residents do not want their property taxes to be increased because of the financial burden that will be thrust upon them, and since residents wonder why Wegman is totally controlling the bidding process for both projects, and since the city did not hire an independent construction manager, and since Wegman has not proven to be a reliable contractor to date, and since Wegman to consider them further is really outlandish, I stand before you to formally request a moratorium, a postponement, a delay on moving forward with the bond issues or building Station 16 right now. Further, I request that the matter of Building 16 be put to a referendum vote so residents can have the opportunity to have their input on the city's future. Further, the council has a reputation to rush into decisions, and in particular the rezoning of Dominic's property. Clark had the obligation to sell the property as commercial, and the council was in a rush to see something there, and collectively you all saw as an alternative was more housing. And since zoning changed from commercial to residential, it now diminishes any chances for commercial interests. And as a result of not holding Clark responsible to market the property as commercial, we're back to square one, possibly seeing more housing in the future. Maybe we're not Palatine or Arlington Heights, but we have an advantage that we have a direct access by Algonquin Road and on Kirchhoff right off of 53. What a great opportunity to market it as such. Please, put on the pause button. There's no need to rush into Building 16 or taking on huge bonds that will burden residents. Rolling Meadows has seen 60 years of growth from that little bedroom community. We'll be around for another 100 or 16 years better. Please vote wisely and let our new council and new aldermen have the opportunity to hear the residents and work with them. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Ms. Cheryl Gallo, thank you for coming forward tonight.
Thank you for having me, and good evening to you and the council. First and foremost, let it be known I'm not here to crab at you. I am here to voice my opinion as a resident of Rolling Meadows for 63 years, my whole life. I am asking that the council postpone the approval of the bonds and the second firehouse contract until the first firehouse is well on its way to completion, so we have a good sense of how the work is being done. I feel it is not in the best interest of the city to hire someone and not know the quality of their work or if our expectations are being met. And as Annette said, the residents do have a lot to say. I was at a meeting and there were many discrepancies in our first contract for the first firehouse. A gentleman named Bob Gurr stepped up and he went through the contract point by point, pointed out many discrepancies, methodically going over it. He did this for a business, and only to have them fall on deaf ears. Nobody took him to heart. I feel that we should. There's a false sense of urgency to bring this contract into signing. And I don't know what the urgency is. We have many, many months till the first fire station is done. It's not projected to be done until December of 2019. We rushed to sign that contract only to have prices escalate and work delayed. I can only say, let's be more fiscally responsible and proactive in signing a contract that benefits our city's well-being. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Gallo, for coming forward. Dale Engelhardt, please, as signed in.
Engelke. That's okay.
You know what? I'm just not on a roll tonight. Thank you. A little more tea, maybe it'll get better.
Good evening. I just want to thank everybody for coming out today with such crummy weather. The only thing that I do have to say is it's too bad that they don't come out like this on every meeting and voice their opinions. Even though I agree with everything they say, it would be nice to see a lot of people at these council meetings because that's the only way that the voice is going to get heard. You see it through Facebook, You read a lot of comments on Facebook, but nobody ever shows up. So I'm glad to see as many people here tonight as there is, and hopefully in the future, before the council votes on issues, we get a lot more input from the residents. One other thing I want to say is that we have an election coming up, and we got some people that are running for alderperson, and I just wish that whoever wants to take on that job and responsibility listens to the residents, hear their concerns, their questions, and their opinions, and then take that as a straw vote, like you guys always do on your committee, the whole meeting, and then come to the meetings and vote. A lot of alder people vote on their own opinion. They listen to you. We've had a lot of flip-floppers. I won't say who they are. They know. And we've had a lot of decisions made that maybe shouldn't have been made. So anybody that's running for office or alderperson or mayor, I know the mayor doesn't have a vote, but be more considerate on the way the residents feel and the way that the residents want them to vote. They're our voice. So we can only come to them, and they have to take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Engelhardt. Okay. I'm sorry. I do have another signatory in here, Carolyn Allen, A-L-I-A-N.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for coming forward.
Sure. So I stand before you once again, a resident, homeowner, and taxpayer with 21 years, almost, in Rolling Meadows. Thankful for the victory against the overpriced gargantuan of a retirement complex, but disappointed from there on out. Disappointed that a number of us pleaded with you in person and electronically to not change the zoning of the Dominic's lot. Quite a few residents felt, and a lot still feel, that with the right coaxing towards Clark Street and a much better citywide marketing attempt, the last of the properties and our downtown could have been kept mostly retail. Words from the council at that time were that your vote go residential was due to concerns that the lot would still sit empty for a number of years and turn into a vast wasteland. So since there was an opportunity, it should be jumped on because you felt, that it was taking too long, and then it was stated that the city was not in the business to be a property owner, and to purchase it was not in the foreseeable budget. Long story short, Dominic's land is still empty because the due diligence was not properly completed by those who hold that responsibility before the decisions were made. Fast forward a few years. Magically, some money has now appeared to build not one but two fire stations, and nothing to happen with the land that was purchased for the smaller substation. Money that was not available to fix the crumbling station for 20 years, nor buy retail land to possibly be a spark that very well may have ignited some retailer to consider that land after all, the Dominic's land. I again stood before this council begging you to realize and carefully consider the income versus property costs that your residents average. I stated averages where Rolling Meadows residents can barely afford to live here as it is, before you tack on more debt for the fire stations that were over budget before this process even began. A bunch of us pleaded that the new Fire Station 15 should not be built at this time, and that it needed to go back to the drawing board to be reevaluated. Sadly, City Council majority voted to go ahead and approve it. Once again, against your constituents' wishes, because it was on the table too long, needed to move forward after all this time. No interactive town hall meetings, no upfront final of what the price will be to ensure that it was carefully thought through. Basically, in my opinion, a blank check to Wegman because we keep hearing how building costs are so much more expensive now. So, Wegman now it came to a screeching halt. Speaking of wastelands and Rolling Meadows, they claimed not to be able to build due to the cold and snow. That whole 2-week cold snap and snow around Thanksgiving Wegman pleaded with you to allow them a penalty-free extension. You did. Temperatures went back down to the mid-40s, and still not one rock has been moved by human hands in that 4 or has it been 5 weeks-ish time period. Now it's the deep freeze of January in Chicagoland, as it is pretty much always in January in Chicagoland. And now it sits, and we wait because you granted them an unpenalized extension. I'm sorry, I'm scratching my head on this because at that exact time of that pleading for no penalty extensions, we did see one brick, concrete, fairly large car wash structure being built. Every day, lots of rocks were being moved, lots of plumbing lines being run. Also, McDonald's on Kirchhoff received brand new double concrete driveways and some new outside brickwork. And let's not forget the stretch on 355 between Rolling Meadows and well past Lyle. They seem to be able to get their concrete bridge and asphalt work completed, but Wegman said it was too cold. And now you're going to vote on whether or not to also give them the contract for a second fire station? Please tell me you're going to do right by your residents this time and let the new council decide in the next 4 years of our city. Trust me, we can sit and wait because the hurry up, spend, and wait isn't really helping anyone, except maybe Wegman. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. The council moves to the first order of business, the consent ordinance. Ordinance A, number 19-05, is to amend Chapter 6 of the Alcoholic Beverages Article 2 licenses, Section 6, 77 hours and days of sale, 66-77, the hours of and days of sale for Class A1, A2, A3, Class D, and Class G1 liquor licenses. This ordinance, if adopted, will change the weekend and holiday hours of operation for establishments holding a Class A1, A2, A3, Class D, Class G1 liquor license. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance? Ms. Majakis has made that. Mr. Diastis has seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Banjer.
Yes.
Diastis.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Budmatz.
Yes.
Majakis.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, this ordinance is approved. This brings us to Ordinance B. Ordinance B is an ordinance that had come forward to approve a request to modify an existing special use to allow additional cars to be parked for sale on site and allow all mechanical repairs to be performed on site at 3975 Algonquin Road, Luxury Auto Import. Staff has asked that this be postponed, and there has been discussion because there were questions brought up and clarifications. Do I have a motion to postpone B? Mr. Cannon has made that. Ms. Majakis has seconded. Is there a discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Diastis.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Budmatz.
Yes.
Majakis.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
Banjer.
Yes.
7-4 and none opposed. That the motion does take place for that ordinance. The next item on the agenda is the consent ordinances for first reading. It consists of 9 items, C through K. Does any alderman wish to move an item for the consent? Mr. Cannon?
C.
Any others? Seeing that there are, it consists of 8 items, the chair declares it in the order for one motion to consider all 8 items, 8 ordinances in one motion. Is there such a motion? Ms. Majakis has made that. It's been seconded by Mr. Banjer. The question is, shall all 8 ordinances be moved forward for one reading? D. Ordinance D is to amend the Raymond Rose Plan development for additional signage and parking lot landscape island installations. It's known as the Preserves at Woodfield, 4700 Harbor Drive. This ordinance, if adopted, would allow an amendment to the existing Raymond Rose Plan development to allow a modified sign in a new location at the site, and the installation of several curved landscape islands within the portion of the site parking lot. The new signage is proposed to be installed at the main entry to the preserves at Woodfield, located at 4700 Arbor Drive. The change in signage is considered to be positive change for the site. The landscape islands are requested by a petitioner to act as a traffic control for the site, encouraging drivers to slow down. It will also add some green space to the site. Ordinance E, number 19, to approve a liquor license application for a Class II liquor license for Donato Restaurant Group, doing business as Isabel's Cafe at 5540 New Wilkie Road. This ordinance, if adopted, would approve an application for an A2 liquor license. This liquor license application is being requested by Donato Restaurant Group, doing business as Isabel's Cafe. Donato Restaurant Group Incorporated is also the owners of Anna's Red Apple Pancake House and Cafe, located at 2121 Plum Grove Road. This new restaurant, cafe, and video gaming establishment will be located at 5540 New Wilkie Road, the Old Spice Grill. They are in the final processes of completing the build-out. They hope to open in April. Ordinance F, this is to amend the liquor code to approve a G1 liquor license for video gaming for Donato's Restaurant Group, doing business as Anna's Red Apple, located at 2121 South Plum Grove Road. This ordinance, if adopted, would approve the city's third-class G1 liquor license for video gaming in the city of Rolling Meadows. The Illinois Gaming Board is in the process of reviewing and hopefully approving the gaming license for Anna's Red Apple, which is located at 2121 South Plum Grove Road. G, amend the alcohol liquor code to approve a Class G1 liquor license for video gaming for Reps Place, Sports, Burgers, and Beers, located at 3200 Kirchhoff Road. This ordinance, if adopted, would approve the City Council's G1 liquor license for video gaming in the city of Rolling Meadows. The Illinois Gaming Board is in the process of reviewing and hopefully approving a gaming license for Reps Place, Sports, Burgers, and Beers, which is located at 3200 Kirchhoff Road. H, or approve the issuance of General Obligation Bond Series number 2019, first reading. This ordinance, if adopted, would authorize the issuance of 2019 general obligation bonds not to exceed the principal amount of $8,500,000. Proceeds from the bond will fund the remaining expenditures for the construction of 2 new fire stations, including land acquisition, demolition of existing structures, engineering, design costs, and the acquisition of furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and for water main, underground utilities, capital infrastructure products. I, this is the property tax levy abatement ordinance for the 2018 bond series. This ordinance, if adopted, would abate the taxes for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019 for the city of Rolling Meadows, Cook County, Illinois. 2018 general obligation bonds. The city's 2018 bond closing occurred after the city adopted the fiscal year 2019 budget. Therefore, the city would need to adopt an additional abatement ordinance to avoid adding the amount to the fiscal year 2019 bond payment to the property tax levy. J, terminate property tax levy for the city's special service area number 5, Kirchhoff Stormwater and Water Improvements Utilities Fund. Number 20, this ordinance, if adopted, would terminate the property tax levy for the city's special service area number 5 taxing district for the water main improvements in the Hicks Industrial Area. The tax levy was $69,458.62 on December 31st, 2018, with the fiscal year 2018 budget. K, amend the fiscal year 2019 budget and staffing plan. This ordinance, if adopted, will amend the fiscal year budget and staffing plan for the Community Development Division of Public Works. The part-time position of Community Development Clerk Typist will be changed to full-time. Again, the question is, shall all 8 of these ordinances be moved forward for the second reading? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Williams?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bud Matts?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Gallo?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
7 in favor, none opposed. All 8 items will move forward for second reading. This brings us to Ordinance C, to amend the ordinance to increase the age to purchase tobacco and electronic cigarette products. This ordinance, if adopted, would increase the age to purchase tobacco and electronic cigarette products from age 18 to 21. Do I have a motion to move forward? Mr. Banjer has made that. Ms. Majakis has seconded. Mr. Buchanan, you have asked to have pulled, so you have first opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I expressed my opinion last week. I just wanted to pull it so we could vote.
Okay. Further discussion? Mr. Gallo, sir.
Unfortunately, I was not able to be here last week, and so was there any conversation regarding how this would impact our city as opposed to neighboring cities? What are our neighboring cities doing about this similar ordinance, about restricting the age limits?
We did have a discussion concerning that, and we did put this on for tonight because our neighbors at Palatine and Arlington have done that. And in the packet, it states that it's on here for first reading and that the opportunity to advise and discuss with our city attorney, Mr. McCall, for the second reading is there. So any questions, or we can go forward with that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Cannon.
No.
Budmats.
No.
Majakis.
Yes.
Gallo.
No.
Banjer.
Yes.
Diastis.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
By 4-3, that ordinance does pass and move forward to second reading. And as I did mention, it is in the packet. Does anyone has any other questions or discussions? Please forward them to staff and to Mr. McCall. This brings us to L, new business. Motion to approve the bills and warrants of 2219. The business is a motion to approve the warrant from the January 22nd, 2019 as presented by the Finance Department. Do I have a motion to move forward? Mr. Banjer has made that. Mr. Williams has seconded. When I get the two Robs at one time, I always got to get that last initial in there. Is there any discussion on the motion to pay the bills? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Budmats.
Yes.
Majakis.
Excuse me. Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
Banjer.
Yes.
Diastis.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
7 in favor, none opposed. The warrant is approved. The next on the item on the agenda are the consent resolutions. It consists of 9 items, M through U. Does any alderman wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Mr. Budmats.
M.
Anything else? Any others? Seeing none, the clerk declares an order for one motion to consider all 8 resolutions without debate. Is there such a motion? Mr. Banjer has made that. Mr. Cannon has seconded. N. Resolution number 19-R-03 is to approve the contract for the janitorial services at Public Works and City Hall for fiscal year 2019. This resolution, if adopted, would award a 1-year contract for a 3-day-a-week janitorial service for Public Works Burnick Street facility, 1-day-a-week janitorial service for Public Works South, 5-day-a-week janitorial service for City Hall, and a 7-day-a-week janitorial service for the Police Department for the period from January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019 to Advanced Cleaning Systems in South Barrington, Illinois. O. This resolution, number 19-R-04, is to amend the fiscal year budget. The repayment of a $2,120,000 from the 2018 bond proceeds fire station fund to the general fund 01 with transfers to the building and land fund number 33 and the local road fund. This resolution, if adopted, would amend the fiscal year 2019 budget, repayment of $2,120,000 from the 2018 bond proceeds to the general fund with transfers to the building and land fund and local road fund. P. Resolution number 19R-05 is to amend the fiscal year 2019 budget. Accept the 2018 general obligation bonds, series number 2018 debt service schedule. This resolution, if adopted, would amend the fiscal year 2019 budget to accept the 2018 general obligation bonds, series 2018 debt service schedule, and to add the debt service payments to the debt service fund. Q, resolution number 19-R-06 is to authorize the professional services of Bernardi Securities Incorporated regarding the city's general obligation fund bonds, series number 2019. This resolution, if adopted, would approve professional services Bernard Security Incorporated for underwriting services for the general obligation bond series 2019. R, resolution number 19-R-07 is to authorize the professional service of Caton Mutchin Roseman LLP regarding the city general obligation bonds issuance 2019. This resolution, if approved, would approve the professional services of Kate Mutchin Roseman LLP for issuing general obligation bonds as they pertain to bond counsel and disclosure counsel legal services. S, resolution number 19-R-08 is to approve the contract for providing forestry maintenance services for fiscal year 2019. This resolution, if adopted, would award a contract for forestry maintenance services covering fiscal year 2019. Services to be provided including sickle tree pruning, tree removal, stump grinding, and disposal of tree and wood waste generated by the Public Works forestry crew. T, resolution number 19-OR is to approve the fiscal year 2019 motor fuel tax appropriations for the Public Works street maintenance operations. This resolution, if adopted, would approve a fiscal year 2019 motor fuel tax appropriations to be utilized this year resurfacing project. U, resolution number 19-R-10 is to approve hold harmless agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation for work performed within the state of Illinois right-of-way. This resolution, if adopted, would allow the city of Rolling Meadows to perform maintenance work within the Illinois Department of Transportation right-of-way without having to submit a permit application and surety bond for each occurrence. This is a standard action the city has taken for many years. The requirement of a security permit and a posting of a bond is a standard procedure of IDOT for all work within the state highway system. Again, the question is, shall all 8 resolutions be adopted? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Majikis?
Yes.
Gallo?
No.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Budmats?
No.
7 in favor, 2 opposed. Those resolutions are adopted. This brings us to resolution number M, number 19-R-02 is to approve an amendment number 2, guaranteed maximum price to the standard design, build, and agreement and general conditions between the owner and design builder for the Fire Station 16 at 2340 Hicks Road. This resolution, if adopted, would approve amendment number 2 to the standard design build agreement approved by the City Council with resolution number 16-R-23 on March 8, 2016. The resolution for 2340 Hicks Road Fire Station establishes a guaranteed maximum price for the work outlined in the agreement and includes the costs associated with the construction of Fire Station 16, current location at 2455 current Plum Grove Road. Do I have an amendment? Motion to move this amendment forward. Mr. Banger has made that. Mr. Cannon has seconded. Mr. Budmats, you are your choice here, sir.
I pulled this. I listened to the citizens who came forward tonight, as well as other times, asking us to use judgment before just writing a blank check to a contractor, in their words. The truth is that the council, before I was ever on the council, did agree to a contract to build 2 fire stations for $9 million. One way or another, it seems that we're going to have to build 2 fire stations, but it sure is obvious that it's not going to happen for $9 million. My question now is not the price or the number of stations. It's purely the fact that back in September, I think it was, we offered or we issued a contract to Wegman, gave them a dollar amount. They were going to do the job, get it done. It was supposed to be done by July. Since that time, they haven't met their milestones. They haven't done what they said they were going to do. I think it would be foolhardy to issue them an additional contract until they start meeting milestones. Nobody but nobody doesn't perform and then gets rewarded. I mean, except for maybe if you're a quarterback for the Bears. Truthfully, we should not approve this at this time. There's no rush to do this. They're talking about having this firehouse, if we approved it tonight, done in February of next year. March of next year, maybe. But the truth is that it would be really nice, very, very nice to see Wegman actually do what they're supposed to do, meet some milestones, so that they can build with this council some trust that they're going to do what they say they're going to do for the price they're going to say they're going to do it, before we just issue them another blank check. And so I will not be voting for this. I encourage you not to vote for it. That doesn't mean that we won't have to vote for it at some point in the future. We just need to make sure that we're doing it with their contractor who is going to meet their obligations. And as of yet, they have yet to do so in the time frame that they originally promised to do so.
Thank you.
One other thing.
Okay.
I will tell you that I have received a large number of phone calls on this. There's people in my ward, some of who share a bedroom with me, who are really pushing me very hard to telling me that they are opposing this and that they're asking me, I'll be willing to pick it, et cetera. So there's sizable opposition to this, and we as a council need to pay attention to what the citizens are saying to us.
Further discussion on him. Mr. Gallo.
I'm not going to repeat a lot of the same sentiment that I've heard echoed from the residents who called from Friday on once this post was made public. But I do want to set a couple of inaccuracies right. The residents' majority are in favor of supporting a relocation, but not at any cost or all costs necessary. Another thing is Wegman has proven poor as a project manager because they're not our project manager. They are our general contractor, and Fire Chief was dedicated to be our project manager. Back in May of 2018 at a committee of the whole meeting, he announced he was the project manager. Therefore, he has a responsibility for that. I'm not putting the onus on Chief. We also had to make some sizable increases to our bays, but that's because we ended up purchasing suboptimal property that caused us not to have drive-thrus, which we originally wanted. This council didn't vote to postpone the project. We voted not to use contingency funds for the project to move through winter when we were asked to accelerate this decision so we could move and be weatherproof before winter, and here we are without even a foundation complete. Not to get into Wegman and being a poor contractor and not deviating from all the things that they've not necessarily abided by in our contract, because technically it falls on deaf ears. But the other thing is Wegman's contract has stated that they would, in their contract and both on their website, since they've been a company since 1955, they've always been committed to hiring local subcontractors. In this contract alone that we see here in this document, and the last one for the general contractors and subcontractors for Fire Station Algonquin Road, the nearest contractor to us is 30 miles from here. So they're not even following up their commitment to say R.C. Wegman Construction Company continues to follow this belief today. Not only do we stress hiring local contractors, but we actually track every project to see how many local contractors on the job are helping. It's just not true. So with that, I have no faith and credibility in moving them forward for this station before they produce for us on this current station. I won't be voting for it.
Thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Banger.
Thank you. I'll be voting for this. I do not want this process to stop. We got this GMP for the second station. It's $500,000 less than the first station, which you would anticipate with any efficiencies of either the same contractors or different contractors, knowing the bid from the first company and being able to undercut that bid. This pause is that, and I've said it before. it's not that I don't care that it's on ice right now, but we've got 2 perfectly functioning fire stations, so that's not chief among my concerns. Those folks who are looking for a pause and a reset with this next election, I guess my only reminder would be that happened 2 elections ago, and then we had a consensus among the council, at least a majority of the council moved this project forward, and I was among the majority of the council that moved this project forward. And I don't want to stop this project from going on. And I know with all appearances, as Mr. Budmetz had noted, this is not the original $9 and some million stations, but I don't think that far out from that estimate it would have been anyway. So it has been surprising how much extra this has been. But these are things that the process itself has been transparent. This council's had 15 or 16 or 17 ordinances or resolutions that we've passed to get to this point. So where we are today, it's not like it's a surprise with those several ordinances and resolutions to move this process along. And I'm just not willing to stop the project from going forward because we need to relocate, rebuild 2 new fire stations. At the end of the day, that's what I'm looking to achieve. So I'll be voting for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Will the clerk please?
Can I get a second bite?
You can, yes, Mr. Budmetz.
A few months ago, we talked about having somebody independent be the construction manager. I spoke with city officials about doing so. I haven't seen anything come forward on this. The fire chief is a great fire chief. We really appreciate his efforts. And I'm not aware that he's been a construction manager professionally at any point prior to this. I really think that the city, as Joe said, the Wegman is a general contractor. They're a builder. They were earlier described as the design builder. They weren't described as our construction manager. They're our design builder. And the truth of the matter is that we need to have somebody who's going to have the city's interests at heart, somebody who's very familiar and is qualified to look at construction companies and look them in the eye and say, hey, we really don't need that, or you could do this better. So I haven't heard anything about that. If we're going to have somebody else who's going to do that on the city's behalf, and I would really like to see that in place so that we know going forward that our dollars are going to be carefully watched and spent from a construction management point of view. So I think it's foolish to approve this without having that in place.
Thank you. Further discussion from the council? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Gallo.
No.
Baner.
Yes.
Diastis.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Budmetz.
No.
Majikis.
Yes.
That resolution does move forward. Thank you. This brings us to other businesses and reports. I have no appointments, proclamations. The city clerk has none. This brings us to the community items of interest. Mr. Crumstock.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Obviously, January is a pretty quiet month, so we do want to remind people that City Spank and Elgin Recycling are conducting a holiday light recycling program. The collection boxes are here at City Hall. They're on the west side of the City Hall. There are 2 of them. Elgin Recycling does come out on a regular time, and they do dump these any kind of lights from mini lights, C7 lights, C9 lights, rope lights, and LED lights. This program does run until February 15th of this year. And obviously, because it's the last meeting of the month, we do want to mention the February committee of the meetings that are coming up. So on February 5th at 6 p.m., right in this building, we have economic development. Tentative items for discussion consists of the 2018 Economic Development Summary, very similar to what was here at the Committee of the Whole meeting last week. We will also have the new business feedback and contact distribution, the business community showcase discussion by business advocate Martha Corner, which again we want to remind people it is on Thursday, April 25th. 4 to 5 is really the business to business. 5 to 8 is for all residents and anybody else for the businesses. And then we do have update from the business advocate, and then we do have items of interest, Chamber of Commerce update, and then other items of interest for the economic development. Also on Tuesday, February 5th at 7:30 p.m. in the council chambers, we do have 2 public hearings tentatively scheduled. They do consist of amendment to the plan development for it's actually 10 additional Tesla supercharging stations at 1301 Myers Drive. That's our C2 General Commercial Service District. Aaron Edelman of SMG International LLC is the petitioner. And then we will also have a presentation of the draft comprehensive plan presentation by Tesca Associates to obviously the planning and zoning. We are the petitioner, and then that item is actually going to be before the City Council at your February Committee of the Whole meeting. So with that, we do want to remind people with January, there is a 5th Tuesday. You're more than happy to come into council chambers, but we won't be here. So with that, those are items of interest.
Mr. Comstock, you have new businesses?
Sure. All that we have to mention is that we do have 2 new businesses that moved in for December. Obviously, that was part of the 37 overall that moved into the city of Rolling Meadows for 2018, and nothing to really highlight.
Thank you. Mr. Comstock, traffic review, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The January Staff Traffic Review Committee report, staff met on January 9th. A couple of items to bring to your attention that have been discussed. First being Meadowbrook Drive, Lois Drive on-street parking. Ordinance was approved in December to modify the on-street parking that is permitted there. One of the businesses, U.S. Waterproofing, had some questions, brought some concerns to our attention. They are certainly being proactive with working with us on that and accommodating some of their customers as well as their employees. This committee is going to review the parking situation and may have some recommendations to modify the ordinance that was approved last month to better accommodate businesses in that area, and in consideration of the width of the street that doesn't allow for parking on both sides of the street. So more on that to come after the February Traffic Review Committee meeting. Keystone Court, the police chief recommended a few months ago doing a temporary additional parking restriction that seems to be working to the benefit of the business that requested that with no adverse effects. So Council will be seeing in February a ordinance to add that formally to our areas of parking restrictions on Keystone Court. The other 2 items, just very briefly, we discussed the cleaning of traffic signals after snowstorms, after the November 26th event, and how to do that. We've had some staff discussions with the police department as well as with the traffic signal maintenance contractor. More recently, even after the committee meeting was held, we're looking to, as needed, respond to that and clean the signals, weather dependent, and with assistance from the police department to do that after significant storms where the signals may be restricted in terms of their visibility. Lastly, just some discussion about street widths that was discussed at the Committee of the Whole back in November. The Capital Improvements Committee is also discussing that in regards to establishing criteria, and given some of the parking issues that we've had before the Traffic Review Committee, the committee certainly supports continuing to look at that. So that is the activity report for the month of January.
Thank you. We did have a request to go into closed session tonight, but after discussing with our city manager and with our city attorney, we can do that another evening, and also with the weather. So without objection, we will go to ask for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Manager has made it. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're done. Thank you.